Okay, in this video we're checking out the ToolkitRC M6 smart charger. This is a really tiny charger, 10 amps, 150 watts, 1 to 6S, and it's got a little bit different interface than the M8 charger that I reviewed about 6 months ago. It's about 2.5 inches by about 2 inches by about an inch. And as you can see here, it's got a pretty simple interface. It's got a little fan in the back here. Input power on this side, 7 to 28 volts. I believe the M8 is 7 to 30 volts, and then you have a little servo connector here for testing. It's the same function as on the other M8 charger, and then you have a USB charging for 5 volts, 2.1 amps on this side, and on this side you have a 2 to 6S port for balance, for your balance lead, and then the XT60 output. And it's all touch buttons here, no touch screen here, but you'll see, let me just let me show you the M8. This is actually the hobby-made version of the M8 charger. It's called the D6 Elite, but it's got the same interface as the M8 charger. So let me show you that first. Power this up. See, we have charger, measurer, output, and settings. And I'm going to refer you to the original video on the M8 where I have these and both of them in there, and they're actually the same. Put a card in the corner to that video. You guys check out that because I do go into detail on all these functions. I'm not going to cover all the same functions on the M6 because they're essentially the same, just the user interface. The GUI is a little bit different. So you see here we have like basically it's a black and white LCD to go through the function. You have a dial here, and you press the dial to select the function, and then the exit button to go back. That's essentially how that one worked. And then again, I'll point you to that video. This is, as you see, bigger than the M6, so more or less the M8, from what I remember, it was a 300 watt charger up to 15 amps, and it does 2 to 8S here on the balance lead. Same output, XT60 and XT60 input here, 7 to 30 volts, and then you have your servo and your USB on this side. Basically, I think the M6 is more or less like an M8 Lite, and also in a smaller package, but it has all the same functions. So I'll go ahead and set the that one aside. Let's go and plug this in. And as you see here, same functions, charger, measure, output, settings. This is not a touch screen here. You do have to use the buttons here, which I think I like this better than that dial. The dial didn't seem to work so great for me, if you remember from that video. So just quickly I'll show you the charging function. This button here will select. You have your LiPo battery. You can actually change that to a different battery type. Let's go down here. We'll select LiPo here, and then go in here. You can select that and change this to a different type, I believe. Yeah, so it's a little, the screen's a little hard to read. So you have lithium high volt, lithium iron, lithium ion, nickel metal hydride. These are all the same. Lead acid, and these are all the same as before. The screen here, even though it's color now, it's a little bit kind of difficult to read. So that's selected there, that sort of white and gray font, and then now in the white letters that's not selected. So a little bit tricky there to use. And then you can set your, basically set your battery type, your end voltage 4.2. If you want high volt, select high volt, and that'll be 4.35. Under here, cells, this is auto. It'll detect the cells automatically based on the balance lead you plug in, and then your charge current 2 amps. You could change, obviously, change this and lower it down. So I'll just drop this down to, I'll drop that down to 1 amp for the charge current, and should be able to plug in a battery. This is another forest battery, just for demonstration. And we do have to match up the negative and positive here, so it's going to be like this. There you go. And we should be able to just go ahead and start charging. And I'll say charge to 16.8, hit OK. And then this is how the charge function works. This looks like it's working exactly the same as before. It shows you your battery percentage here along with the voltage of each cell. This only does up to 6S, not 8S as it does on the M8. Obviously that's where the M6, the 6 comes from, is 6 cell, and the M8 is 8 cell. User interface a little bit different here. Just show your temperature and current settings here as well as number of milliamps going in. So all pretty much standard stuff here. So we'll go ahead and, since we're a demo, I'll go ahead and end this. And then we'll go back out. So this button here is basically the exit button. And we'll say OK. And exit out of here, and then go back all the way to the main menu. And here, let me go ahead and unplug this battery. I'm not charging anymore. You have the same functions as you did before. Measurer, for example, here you can go here, and then with this function you can basically measure your internal resistance of your battery. That's the same as before. PWM, PPM, and S-bus. All these functions here for measuring are the same as before. This is going to be for like receivers, and then you're going to plug that into the servo input here. That's exactly the same as before as well. Exit out of there. Then you have outputs. Again, we have basically you can turn this into a power supply, and you can set the voltage level and everything in here, and then you can actually set that totally to custom. So this is also the same as before, just we have a nice little color LCD screen instead of black and white. Going back out, and also these other functions here, PWM, PPM, S-bus, you can actually use this to generate those signals output instead of measuring input. So that's the difference there. And then the settings here for the charger itself, you can adjust your lowest input here, for example, so you don't over discharge. LiPo, for example, this is a 4S LiPo, so you want to adjust that appropriately. For 4S, I think the lowest input you want to go is no lower than 12, obviously, but probably want to be even a little higher than that. You have your input power here, safe temperature. These are all things that you could adjust. And this is the same as what was on the M8, just a different user interface. So that's pretty much it. Especially M8 Lite up to 6S, slightly smaller packaging and a little bit lighter, more compact. So if it is all you need is 6S, don't have any 8S batteries, and you would prefer something a little smaller, lighter, and maybe with a different interface, this is going to be pretty much the same functions as before. So if you were considering getting an M8 but don't need 8-cell battery functions, then I would say definitely consider the M6. It's smaller, lighter, and also cheaper with an updated user interface. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll put links down to everything down in the description. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.